All right, so I will get started. So thank you all for attending. My name is Eric Perez-Salas with Standout Social Marketing. I want to give you a little what to know about SEO and how it affects your business. So first, who am I? My name is Eric Perez-Salas. I'm a digital marketing consultant. I started Standout Social Marketing 4 years ago, now going into my 5th year, and a member of BNI for 2 years. What our learning goals for today are. I want you to understand what is SEO and the broad, vague term that it is and how it affects your business. As Sheldon said, it affects every business online. Understanding that there's 2 types of SEO, your on-page and off-page efforts. And I want to provide you 5 tips for both your on-page and off-page efforts to increase your own search engine optimization. So what is SEO? And I hope everyone can see this. Let me know if there are any issues throughout. And if you have questions, please put them in the Q&A box in the chat. So what is SEO? It is search engine optimization, and it is very broad. There's a lot of aspects to search engine optimization, but at a very base level, it is the actions you're taking online to impact your ranking on search engines like Bing, Google, Yahoo. We're optimizing your presence and doing that in various ways. And I think I noticed the glitch, so let me know if anything does pop up throughout. But that is SEO. We are just optimizing and making best use of your ability to be on a search engine like Google or Bing. So the data. There's a lot of technical aspects to it, but we can make it basic. Google's changing all the time. And within a first year of publication, there's less than a 6% chance, based on an error study, that you will reach that top 10 search results. I know it's cliche, but it is a bit of a long game. And working with Google, 60% of those pages in the top 10, 3 or more years old. And nearly 50% of all searches on Google are local based, maybe a local business or a service. And after searching on a smartphone, very mobile specific, nearly 3/4 of people end up visiting or making an offline purchase within a day. So being on these platforms like Google and having this presence is very impactful to your business. It takes some time and it definitely takes effort. But when you reach those positions and fortify that spot, the results and the data back up how it does impact your business. So quickly, what is on-page versus off-page? Your on-page efforts. What are you doing on your website to increase this visibility online? The actions you're taking. And off-page is just the opposite. What are you doing to promote your website on the World Wide Web? So on page, we spend the money, the time, the effort to create a beautiful landing page or environment for our consumer. Off page, but what are we doing about that? Where are we sharing it? How are we sharing it? And how are we building what we like to call authority of our web page? So again, without getting too technical in numbers, on page, what am I doing with my website on the web page? And then off page is what are we doing to promote it everywhere accessible on the World Wide Web? So we're going to talk a little bit about our on-page focus to start. So what are the ranking factors? Well, are you using keywords and search terms appropriate to your business? The title tags and URLs of your web pages, how are they set up? Is your site optimized for mobile? We saw 75% of those local online searches through mobile convert into offline purchases. So is your site ready for that mobile viewer? And a crucial one often gets overlooked is image optimization. What are you providing your web developer with? what's the quality of the content, and when you're putting it on your site, what steps are you taking so Google or Bing recognize this content as well. And we'll talk a bit about that. So keywords and search terms. Give me one sec here. Very basic and can be very simple. What are people typing in to find your service? We can get creative and run elaborate tests. But at a base level, we want to set up our website, our web page, to reflect what we do, to let our customer know who we are, what we do, how we add value, and ensuring that the words used in our business are reflected on our website. You'd be surprised how often I encounter a web page that really doesn't speak or resonate with what value is being provided. And again, without getting too technical, read your homepage. Does it even talk about the service you provide? Have you let Google know that this is who I am, this is what I do, and this is how I add value in plain text? There's an example of how you can use the keywords in different ways on your website, in the URL, maybe in how you're naming the pages on your website, a blog, but just a very base level. I do X, so my website should tell people and Google that I do X. So title tags. What is a title tag? A little bit of text and then I'll show an example. These are what you see on the search engine result page. And these are customizable. So you want to ensure that when our service is searched and we show up, we have a well-written title tag. So you're going to work with your web developer, or maybe you do it yourself, Wix or WordPress, but you can access these settings and make sure that, again, I'm searching window coverings in my area. These are the title tags from the local businesses. They are designed to reflect my search. They don't have short spellings and are not full. They have links, they have the right keywords, the right capitalizations, and are as full as they can be. You can tell these businesses have put effort into the title tags. This is a great starting point because, again, if they find us on Google and our writing on the wall isn't correct or reflect our business, the likelihood of them clicking through is significantly lower. So our URLs. So in that title tag, you will see a URL, the actual link that drives someone to your website. What does that URL look like? I'll show a couple examples, and we can kind of reflect. So URLs. I'm sure many of you have received an email or a message on Facebook where the actual link itself was probably longer than the blog or any document that it brought you to. We can control this. This is a factor under our control on our web pages. Example here. Puppy's adorably confused by a rainbow. At the top, you can see a URL that perfectly describes that when I click, I know exactly what I'm going to. It doesn't leave a lot of room for imagination. As you work down the scale of readability, it gets a little less clear, but I can see puppies and confused. I'm probably going to see something about a dog when I click on this. And that third link, well, that third link, we're probably being nice because that link probably has 5 more lines of text and will scare anybody that is trying to click on it. So again, without getting too technical in volume and what's the ideal keyword, what does your URL even look like? When you send somebody your website link as a referral even maybe, is it getting triggered as spam? Does that person even know where they're going? We don't want to leave any questions unanswered, and we can optimize our web presence to help do that. URLs are one of the ways. Another important step is image optimization. Now, we live in a very technologically advanced and creative society. Everyone has 4K cameras, and everyone wants to create the best content. And that is great. We want to reflect your brand online. But what also we want to make sure is when people are going to your website, they're not being bogged down and overwhelmed by downloads and using their bandwidth, or a 4K video trying to play on a laptop they have that probably cannot handle that type of output. When we're doing image optimization on our websites, and let's include video in this, we want to make sure we're using formats that are friendly. We want to compress them and make sure they're not taking an hour to download when someone goes to our page. We want to include alt and meta tags. So the picture itself is nice and aesthetic for the visitor, but Google doesn't see pictures. We have to tell Google what our image is about. So whether, again, you're working with a developer or you are handling your own web page, you want to go in and probably right click or go to settings on your picture and tell Google that this picture is about, again, my keywords. Here's a picture of me doing X because we provide Y value. And you're letting Google know what that image is about. Google picks up the text and the keywords with your content, but you're also driving visual stimulation to your website visitors, which is a nice double tap. I urge people to stay away from the 4K video, especially if your ideal client maybe isn't as technologically inclined as we are. We have high ambition, but at the end of the day, we want to make this user-friendly as well as Google-friendly. Thank you, Kurt. Another great tip. I know Kurt's very involved in web design, so his input is very valid throughout this presentation, especially on the on-page sections. Mobile optimization. I got to say, at least 95% of the ads I run are driven through mobile devices. Is your website designed in a way that is mobile friendly? Have you taken the time to work with your developer for a specific model for your phone? You might make some drastic changes to ensure it's mobile friendly, but take that time. Try not to use too many pop-ups and windows. And if you do, make them easy to navigate. Calls to actions, light boxes, these types of tools are great for converting and gathering data from our clients. But we want to make sure that the user experience comes before anything else. So when you go on your website on your phone, are you able to navigate it? If you sent it to your ideal client 5 times over, would they be able to easily access the information they need on their cell phone? Another example is buttons. Check the button sizing on your mobile device. You may not realize that it's really small and hard to access, or you might have a button that's huge and is taking up half the screen, but you haven't realized that yet. Really take the time and optimize your web pages for the mobile device. Computers are in our hands. And they laughed at Bill Gates because he said they were going to put a computer in your home. Now everyone's got 3 of them in their pockets. So it's really important to leverage those tools. Okay, off-page focus. So I can quickly go through these. A lot of them are combined in how they impact and how you can leverage them. So first, we have backlinks. Again, very basic. A link to your website from another website, and hopefully a credible website. This can include social media. Facebook, links from Facebook to your site, a backlink. Maybe you write a blog, a backlink. Even today's event when we're setting up session hosts and all this information, more backlinks. This information helps Google build trust with you, and the more quality links they're seeing over an extended period of time, without any significant change or negative impacts, that's how you build credibility, and that's how you work to the first page. So a lot of what I'm going to talk about after this will be implementing some sort of backlinking strategy or structure. Number one, your Google business listing. Google listings, a free tool. And if you're a member of BNI Gaining Referrals, it is important that you not only have a listing, but it is filled out and you are trying to drive reviews there. When I refer X, you want to make sure that when they Google me, I have a credible listing popping up. That can really impact your conversion rates. Not only that, it allows you to, again, include another backlink to your site on a platform owned by Google, drive reviews which impact your ranking, post content, and Google doesn't charge you. There are services that will charge to manage and maintain, but this is a great tool for your local off-page SEO. Jessica, I do see your question, and I will answer it at the end. Some imagery and video content. Leveraging the platforms owned by Google and their partner companies. So if you have videos you're putting to Facebook and maybe on your website, you may consider using a platform like YouTube or Vimeo to continue that process. Again, post your video, post your images, make sure your profile is completely filled out, and linking back to your website. The more of this creation you're doing, the more backlinks from these types of websites you're creating, you will build your trust and your authority with Google. And that is how you rank higher. That is how you optimize your presence on search engines. Again, so when I search up your business, am I seeing a listing completed? And you have a YouTube channel and a Facebook page and a really nice website. We're optimizing your search engine presence. Blogging. Keyword rich, owned by Google. Let's use their own platforms to benefit our business. If you're writing content on your website, you should consider going on a web page like Blogger, filling out an account with all the correct information about your business, and actively posting and driving backlinks as well from these sites. It is easily duplicable. If you're already putting the effort usually in one area online, you can take that idea, that content, that effort, and easily replicate across multiple channels, all of which are going to help build your credibility. Think BNI, visibility and credibility. That's what we're trying to do here. And really none of what I've said so far on the off page will cost you anything more than time and effort, so you choose. So we talked about the Google listing, but there are other local business listings. So yes, Google, but there's a Bing web listing, maybe a listing on Alignable or the Better Business Bureaus. These directories have already built credibility. They already rank on the first page. So we can use Facebook as an example. It's a listing. It's a business listing. When you create a Facebook page for your business, there's a strong likelihood that it can show in the first page of Google. Google recognizes Facebook as a trusted partner. So when you partner and associate with Facebook or any of these directories, you gain that credibility as well. Again, I'll tie it in with BNI. When you have the BNI proud member sticker or wear the BNI badge, you gain credibility being a part of that platform. We can leverage online listings and websites that have done that work and be a part of their success. It's just up to us to provide them the quality content that helps them put us in that position. Here's an example. So Alignable, very powerful. This is an example of a listing. It has my contact information, links to my website. I fill out as much as Alignable allows me to do at this level. As far as tags and keywords about my business, I would call this a local business listing. Another example, I worked with an organizing client that had a lot of pictures and content they wanted to share, and get it out there on as many credible sources as possible. So we create her an account on Tumblr, an Imager, and Blogger, and we help share the information she's already created on her webpage. We have access to these tools, and so do you, to continue this SEO process. So here are just a couple examples. Again, I can flash back of what a local business listing can look like. So for me, what we do, one of our focuses on SEO. If you've changed your name, address, phone number, or website, credible information. I'm not talking about, you had one website that said you're on Drive and the other says DR. I mean significant change in your business. It's really important that you go not only on your website, but all of those off-page sources as well, and make sure that information is up to date. That is another huge ranking factor when it comes to Google. It may be debated, but in my personal experience, I even went to a client one time, and on their Google listing, I found out that address hadn't been correct for over 2 years. So it's really important to, whether you hire someone or do a self-audit, if you've made any significant changes in your business, do a double check online. Make sure that information is up to date. Because if you go, or I refer you and they find your listing, we want to make sure they're able to get in touch with you. So that is another important aspect to consider whenever you're doing any type of search engine optimization. Consistency is key. So that ends the actual presentation. So what I'll do is I will leave it here. And I know I had a couple questions in the chat that I'll go back and try to touch on. So if anyone has any other questions or feedback, please go ahead and leave it in the chat, and I will go ahead and start to answer after a sip of water. I know there can be a lot. Search engine optimization encompasses so many variables, but we can simplify it. We can have a structured approach. So backlinks from guest bloggers. Do your homework. Credibility. Just like in BNI, before we refer somebody, do they have reviews? Do they have their own website? Can you go and see the blogs that they do? And do you want to be a part of that network? It can be very valuable having do follow backlinks and other people sharing your content, but do the research, do your due diligence. Much like buying a stock, investing in a business, or passing a referral. Blogger, Medium, again, as long as you're comfortable with the web page and having your content shared there, by all means, fill out the profiles as much as you can. Give them valuable content. Don't give them nothing and hope they give you everything, but definitely leverage all the platforms, niche to your industry, broad. If you're confident and you've done your due diligence, by all means. I saw something about including hyphens between words, alt tags, and meta tags. Does it matter? I personally like to write, and I usually defer this to my technicals. It depends, my understanding, between the meta tag and the alt tag. One structured more to how the search term is being typed into Google. So how are people actually keying it in? I believe the meta tag is structured in that keyword structure. So home inspector in the Durham region providing services. And then the alt text, in my understanding, would be more structured like your URL, kind of around a keyword, like we saw earlier in the presentation. But I definitely recommend someone like Kurt, who's very versed in the actual web design. I understand how they impact your page, but a very skilled web developer and technical can help answer that even more in depth. But that is a great question to have. All right. And yes, Lex, create the Google listing. Take the time, make best use. If you are seeking out referrals, it's very important to have that Google listing. First thing I recommend someone does, drive reviews. Once you make that listing, ask your clients, ask your referral partners to leave you a review. Exactly. Okay, so Kurt, thank you for that. So yeah, we want to speak in basic language to Google through our tags, our title tags, and so forth. So unless it actually makes sense, yeah, the wording itself would require a hyphen. Kurt's description's right on point. I guess that's something I can leave with too. When you're doing SEO, I know we want to try to really appease Google, and they have a lot of changes often. Always keep in mind the user experience is first and foremost, because when people want to come to your site and they enjoy the experience, Google's essentially forced because of what you provide. So we can always work and improve on the technicals and be flexible as Google's changing. But at the end of the day, you yourself, can you navigate? Do you understand? Send it to your grandparents and your grandkids, and can they navigate it and can they understand? It's all about the user. So thank you all for taking the time to be with me today. Here's some of my contact information. I always offer a free 30-minute consult for ideas for your digital marketing strategy. And I hope you're able to take some items from today and, within 24 hours, make some improvements and build your own search engine optimization. Enjoy the rest of the event.